April 2025. Lamine Yamal receives a cross-field pass inside his own half at the Metropolitano. Nico Gonzalez closes him down. Yamal nutmegs him, doesn't even look at him. Then, without breaking stride, he spots Fermin Lopez making a diagonal run and plays the pass with the outside of his left boot. A trivela that bends around Clément Lenglet and drops perfectly into Lopez's path. Two street moves, chained together inside his own half. Against one of the best defenses in Spain. No coach draws that up on a whiteboard. No football academy encourages this. That came from somewhere else entirely. From a concrete slab in Rocafonda where the only rule was keep the ball, and the only reward was making someone look stupid while you do it. His name is Lamine Yamal. He is 18 years old, and he might be the last of his kind. Because the modern game didn't produce him, it tries to contain him. There used to be a type of footballer that street football built. And street football built them specifically because nobody was watching and there were no financial stakes involved. No structure, no consequence for losing the ball. You tried the trivela because nobody told you not to. You stood on the ball to wind up your mate because it was funny. You dribbled past 5 players just to see if you could, and if you lost it, you went and got it back. The feedback wasn't tactical, it was social. Make someone look stupid. Do something that makes people stop and question what just happened. That environment produced a player type no coaching manual neither can or want to replicate. Ronaldinho on the futsal courts and street pitches of Porto Alegre. The Elastico existed before him, invented in the 1960s, passed down through Brazilian football. But Ronaldinho absorbed it so completely, used it so constantly, and so naturally in real matches against real defenders that they named it after him. The Gaucho, a move he didn't invent, a move the street gave him the conditions to make completely his own. Neymar on those same futsal courts in Sao Paulo. Space so small, surface so fast that the standard options don't work and you either improvise or you lose. The dragbacks, the heel flicks, the rainbow. Not rehearsed, discovered. By the time Santos found him, he had a trick vocabulary that no structured session would allow him. Zidane grew up in La Castellane, one of the toughest housing estates in Marseille. The roulette, the 360-degree double dragback that defenders spent careers failing to read, was a move that existed long before he was born. Maradona had made it famous a decade earlier. But Zidane used it so fluently, so instinctively, so consistently at the highest level that it eventually took his name. The hours of unmonitored repetition, the tight spaces, the games where improvisation was the only language that worked. 3 players, 1 shared experience, nobody telling them what the right decision was. That pipeline is gone. Here is exactly how it happened. The recruitment age dropped. Steadily, consistently, across 2 decades. 16 became 12. 12 became 10. 10 became 7. 7 became 6. Elite clubs now run talent identification for children who haven't started primary school. The uncoached window, the years a child spends with a ball entirely on their own terms, didn't just shrink, they vanished. And the coaching that replaced it was built on one principle above all others. Discipline over instinct, system over self. Don't lose the ball, pass and move, play simple. The rondo as gospel. The coach who rewarded recycled possession and looked annoyed at the player who tried something complicated and lost it. A child who dribbles past 3 and loses it on the 4th gets a look from the touchline. A child who plays it safe gets a nod. 10,000 repetitions of that across a childhood, and the lesson is completely absorbed. The game doesn't belong to you. As Wenger once put it, we are losing the street player, the one who learns with imagination and instinct. The sport noted it, filed it, and kept going. Guardiola didn't invent risk aversion, but he made it deliver results, and delivering results made it dominant. Every ambitious club looked at him, looked at Manchester City, and built a version of the same thing. Football became a sport more concerned with not losing than with being worth watching. And the players it started producing matched that priority perfectly. Excellent, correct, and entirely predictable. Their decision-making is flawless. Their instinct has been coached out. They almost never do something that makes you jump out of your seat. The system doesn't just fail to produce street footballers. It actively coaches the street out of them. And you can see exactly what that looks like in real time. October 2022. Manchester United 3, Sheriff Tiraspol 0. Europa League, Old Trafford. 38th minute. Game still goalless. Antony receives the ball in open space and performs a 720-degree spin, the ball glued to his foot the entire time. The crowd cheers. He then plays it straight out of play for a goal kick. Half-time. Ten Hag takes him off. The reaction is immediate. Paul Scholes calls him a clown. Robbie Savage calls it ridiculous, embarrassing. Ian Holloway, unnecessary nonsense. Every pundit panel lands on the same verdict. How dare he? Ten Hag afterwards. I don't have a problem with tricks as long as it's functional. If it's a trick because of a trick, I will correct him. Functional. That word is doing all the work. Expression now has to justify itself. In the modern game, every decision on the pitch is evaluated against a framework. Does this serve the system? Does this serve the structure? And a 720-degree spin, by that framework, fails the test. A skill needs a purpose beyond itself, or it has no right to exist on a professional pitch. Antony fired back on Instagram. We are known for our art, and I won't stop doing what got me to where I am. Neymar backed him publicly. Nobody at Manchester United did. And then Brazil went further. March 2025. Campeonato Paulista final. Corinthians versus Palmeiras. Memphis Depay, injury time. His team 1 goal up on aggregate as he drifts around on the field and stands on the ball. Both feet. A few seconds. Just stands there. It starts a brawl. Multiple red cards. The day after, the Brazilian Football Confederation sends a memo to every club in the country. Standing on the ball is now a yellow card offence. Indirect free kick to the opposition at the spot it happened. The CBF's letter states the act generates widespread disruptions, is considered a provocation, and disrespects the game. Let that land. Brazil, the country that gave the world Pelé, Garrincha, Ronaldinho, made standing on a ball illegal. The CONMEBOL directive behind it spread immediately across South America. Within days, 2 teenagers received yellow cards for the same move in an under-17 match. The sport was now teaching children that standing on a football is unsportsmanlike conduct. Depay posted, "I came to Brazil to experience the Jogo Bonito firsthand. The joy and passion in the way we express ourselves shouldn't be limited." Neymar on Instagram. Football is getting more and more boring. A statement from the most naturally gifted street footballer of his generation, who is himself playing out his career in a league that just criminalized flair and instinct. That's not a hot take, that's a eulogy. Which makes what happened next almost poetic. Because while the governing bodies of the sport were writing rules to keep the street footballer out, one of them walked straight through the door anyway. Rayan Cherki grew up in Poussignon, Eastern Lyon, third of 5 brothers. His father, an amateur player himself, introduced football through informal sessions, with no plan and no outcome. When Cherki was 6, a coach named Roger Martinez spotted him on an athletics track beside a pitch, just juggling a ball while watching his older brother train. Martinez said afterwards, "There was nothing I could teach him about how to play football. He already knew how to do everything." Lyon found him at 7. Professional contract at 15, Champions League at 16. Here is what the system did with that. Not benched, never frozen out, just managed. Always in the squad, rarely the first name on the team sheet. Coaches who loved what he produced in training and grew cautious about how much of it they wanted in a real match. A club in financial chaos that needed results. Transfer speculation for 3 consecutive windows. The same institutional question every season. Can we trust him to play simply when it matters? What the system couldn't do, despite years of proximity, was remove what was in him. Cherki in tight spaces is not executing a plan. He's doing something the plan never asked for and cannot explain. Ambidextrous dribbling so quick and so balanced that Thierry Henry, who played alongside Bergkamp, Ronaldinho, Zidane, said he had never seen anything like it in his life. Improvised assists. Moments that don't fit the structure around him and happen anyway, because something in him is still on a pitch in Pusignan with no coach and no consequence. Last season, League One's best dribbler, Europa League's top assist provider, sustained across an entire season. He is now at Manchester City, under Pep Guardiola, the manager who spent 15 years trying to coach the street footballer out of the game, paid €36 million to own one. And back to Rocafonda. Barcelona found Yamal at 6, La Masia at 7. And La Masia is not a factory that destroys players. It made Messi, Xavi, Iniesta. But it is still a system with a definite idea of what football should look like. It still has coaches with clipboards. It still runs rondos. It still says, play simple. It still demands that every player understands their positional role and executes within it. What it couldn't touch in Yamal was already fixed before it arrived. The trivela as a first option, not a last resort. As natural to him as a normal pass is to anyone else. The nutmeg not as humiliation, but as the most efficient solution available at that moment. The showboating that isn't arrogance, it's instinct. The same instinct that worked on concrete when the only audience was neighborhood kids who would have taken the ball if they were able to. The joy of it. It looks like a kid who just did something brilliant and physically cannot contain it. Euro 2024 semi-final. He scores against France. 16 years and 362 days old. The youngest goalscorer in European Championship history. 80,000 people losing their minds. And his first instinct is to hold up 3 fingers, then 0, then 4. 304. Rocafonda's postcode. In the biggest moment of his life, he points back at the concrete. Here is what both of these players are actually telling us. The sport tried everything. It recruited earlier. It built systems. It rewarded the safe pass and looked visibly annoyed at the trick. It substituted Anthony at half-time. It issued yellow cards for standing on a ball. It told a generation of children 10,000 times across their development that the game does not belong to them. And then Yamal nutmegged a defender inside his own half and played a trivela without looking. And Cherki applied playground football in the most optimized and efficient environment the sport has ever produced. All of this was already set before the modern game could touch it. In the years that belonged entirely to them, on surfaces the sport had no interest in games nobody was evaluating. The street didn't just give them skills. It gave them something the system cannot install and cannot remove. A relationship with the ball that existed before anyone told them what to do with it. The rondos came later. The pressing triggers came later. The instinct was already there. And true instinct stays. The system got to them. It just got there too late. The next one is out there right now. On a concrete pitch. Doing something no coaching manual has a name for. And within a year, a scout will see it. A contract will get signed. An academy will get to work. And by 10, they'll play the simple pass instead. Whether you think the street footballer is gone for good, or the game always finds a way, let us know below. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one.